Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Later in this week I plan on doing a video on just sort of like designing a little dungeon for an adventure scenario using some of the encounters that I had set up when I was doing my series for encounter design for beginners. And while I was looking through and trying to figure out how I wanted to map out, the dungeon on video, I started flipping through my Dungeon Master's Guide and I came on something that I actually completely forgot existed. And going all the way to the Dungeon Master's tool chest, there are there's charts and informations for starting a random dungeon, including starting areas, passages, passage width, doors, chambers, chamber exits, all these different things. And I thought it would be interesting to actually go through and use the DMG, the information in the Dungeon Master's Guide, to create a random dungeon and just sort of see how that goes. Now I think for the purposes of this first video I'm probably just going to get the layout of the dungeon, and then I might make a second video where I use the charts to kind of dress the dungeon essentially and put features in the rooms, stuff like that. So let's just start right off. So I got my large 1-inch square draft paper, and it's not going to all show up in the camera, so I'm going to have to move the camera around as I go, but I do have the map marked in such a way that I know which way north is. So the first thing I'm going to do, so I'm just going to kind of get right into it here, is I have to do the starting area. The size of the starting area. Now, for the purposes of this video, I've also decided that 1 square is going to equal 10 feet. That way, like I think most, there are some like 5-foot wide hallways that you could possibly get, but just to try and make it all fit on one piece of paper, my goal is to essentially have it be like 1 square for 10 feet. And the other caveat is there are things for like stairs and having like different levels, but I'm just going to make this one level dungeon. So going right to the first starting area, have to roll a d10. Alright, and I rolled a 2. So the first starting area is a square 20 by 20 foot room, door on 2 walls, passage in a 3rd wall. So the doors, okay, let's start just by drawing this up, and I'm just going to mark my page here, so just give me one moment. Alright, so it's a 20 by 20 passage, or 20 by 20 room. I'm going to start sort of down low here on the page, just try to give myself as much room as possible. So it's 20 by 20, there's a passage in 1 wall and 2 doors. So let's put the doors we'll put the doors here. And then we have to have just 1 passage. So we're just going to do that. And that is our starting room. So moving on now, let's go from the passageway up. So the next thing is you roll a d20 for the passage details. So get our d20 here. And I got a 5. So 5 continues straight for 20 feet, passage ends in a door. Okay. So 20 feet. Take us there, and then that ends in a door as well. So let's do our doors next. Okay, in this case we got the door types. I'm not going to really worry about that so much. But what I'm going to do is beyond a door. Just because for the purposes of this I'm not going to be writing on the map if they're locked or stone or anything like that. So this is something that I can always go back and do when I do the dungeon dressings. I'll actually like roll for the door types and see what I get. But for now, I just want the beyond the door feature here. So we'll start with this door down here. I got an 11. So that is a chamber, and I have to roll on the chamber chart. So we'll do that next. Chamber is also a d20. And I rolled a natural 20, which is a trapezoid, roughly 40 feet by 60 feet. Okay, so we got a trapezoid, which is sort of an oddly shaped room. Each of these are 10 feet, like I said, so let's go. So 40 feet. All right. So it's going to go 40, 40, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll have the 60-foot room here. You know what? That's not quite gonna work. So let's just re-roll that. Only because the trapezoid is going to be difficult to do in that area. So I got an 11 there, which is a rectangle 40 by 50. That works better. So let's do the rectangle 40. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll just go down like that. All right, perfect. Yeah, the trapezoid just wasn't going to work in that situation. Just if I did it up here, it would have been easier to do. But anyway, so we'll go to this door next. So beyond the door is a passage extending 10 feet, then a T intersection extending 10 feet to the left and right. So passage extending for 10 feet. So we'll start with that part. So we'll just go 10 feet there. And then we've got a passage that goes, I guess, 10 feet this way. 10 feet this way. Now, just because I can't go any further down here, I'm gonna seal this off myself. I know it cuts off a little bit of the randomness, but I wanted to give as much room further up as I possibly could. Maybe I should have started in the middle of the page and just see what happens, but so I'm gonna cut that off and just have that be a dead end. And then up here, I'm assuming I'd probably end up wanting to, since it's a passage, I may want to end up rolling again on the passage chart just to see what happens there. But for now, actually let's continue with that. So let's roll a passage for this section here. So it's already 10 feet, so I'm just going to knock 10 feet off of whatever length I get. 12. Continue 20 feet, then the passage turns left and continues 10 feet. Alright, well that would put us back this way, so let's just re-roll that. Continue straight 30 feet, no doors or side passages. Alright, so just going to go, we're just going to go like that and cut it off there. So it's kind of a weird part of the dungeon, but again, you could have something in there. We'll figure that out. But next we want what's beyond the door, and I lost my place here, so hopefully... Okay, perfect. So beyond the door, just going to do that again. That's another d20. And we got 10, which is a chamber. So a roll in the chamber. I got a 6 on the chamber roll. So 6 is a square room 40 by 40 feet. Alright. So let's go ahead and roll, so it's 40 by 40. Put our bookmark in there before I forget that again. Alright, so It's 10, 20, 30, 40. Alright, so we've got a chamber now. So why don't we roll on this one to see what we get for chamber exit. See if this is a dead end, and I'll do the same thing for down here as well. So chamber exit, this is a, let's have a look here. 40 by 40 uses the normal chamber column, which we've got here. So you just roll a d20 and see how many exits are in the chamber. So I rolled a 13, so there are two exits from the room that we're in. So the next one we go to is the exit location. So we'll roll the 2d20 for that. So the first one is the wall opposite the entrance. So there will be a door there. And our second one, alright, I got the same result, so I'm just going to re-roll. Wall left of entrance. So we've got one here. I'm just going to put it on an actual square, so let's put it right here. Alright, and down for this room, we got a 3. And the 40 by 50 uses the large, oh, okay, so I rolled a 3, so that one has 0. So this room has no exits. So now let's continue beyond the doors here, starting with the one on the left wall. Rolled a 3, so it is a passage 20 feet straight ahead. So 1, so 10, 20 feet. Alright, and for this one, I rolled a 2, which gives us our T section one again. So it's going to go 10 feet up like this. And then it's going to go 10 feet, 10 feet, in a T. Alright, so let's roll for a passage down here. Alright, I'm just going to reroll that because it's another dead end one. So let's try to get something a little more interesting. Alright, so this one, continued 20 feet straight, comes to a dead end, 10% chance of a secret door. Alright, let's just go 10, 20, and then we'll cut that off, and we'll do the secret door thing later. But let's just look at these passages up here. So I guess I should also start rolling on the passage width one, but I just haven't had one that feels like it's deserving of more than just the standard sort of 10-foot wide passage. So up here, let's just have those continue right until the end of this space. So we'll extend it a little bit. And I actually want to have these both end indoors. Because this could be technically the end of our randomized dungeon. So I'm going to put doors on both of those ends there. So beyond the door, on the left here, I got a 13, which is a chamber. So roll on the chamber table. And I got 16 for the chamber, so this is a 30-foot diameter circular room. I've always hated drawing circular rooms, but because I'm not very good at drawing freehand circles. But there we go. That's as good as it's going to get. Now beyond this door, 16 again, which is another chamber. So in this chamber I got a... So that's the same thing. Let's re-roll that. So I got an 8, so it's a rectangle 20 by 30 feet. So we'll just go like that, and then like that. So this area here won't have anything in it. This area won't have anything in it. And exits. So we'll start with our circular room, which is a small chamber. So there's no exits in this small chamber. And the 20 by 30, which is also a small chamber, or normal chamber. So that's going to have one exit. And that exit is going to be opposite the wall entrance. So there's going to be another exit here. Alright, so beyond this door, and I think we're getting pretty near the end. I'm rolling some really crap low numbers here. So it's a passage that goes 20 feet straight ahead. And let's actually roll on the passage width for this one. So we've got passage width, this is another d20 roll. Well, it says d12/d20, but it has numbers going from 1 to 20. So I'm not quite sure what that is. I'm just going to roll the d20. I think the d12 you can use for either 5 or 10 feet, but let's see what we get here. So 13, so this one is 20 feet wide. So let's just go, it doesn't have to be in the middle of the, so 20 feet wide, and it was 20 feet long. So that corridor almost becomes another room there. And what did we say at the end of the... Alright, and we got, I'll just roll again on our passage. Another chance for a dead end, so let's... Oh, so I seem to be rolling the same numbers a lot here. Alright, let's try to get something that actually makes sense here. Alright, so continue for 20 feet, side passage to the right, then an additional 10 feet ahead. Alright, so at this point we're just going to assume that the right will be the south. So it goes 20 feet, so 10, 20. 10, 20, there'll be a door here, and it's just going to go an extra 10 feet, like that. And we're kind of running out of areas to populate with doors and stuff here, so this may be sort of the end of the dungeon. Again, we don't need to make a huge complex, I just wanted to see what happened when we use sort of the random tables. So, rolling beyond the door, it's a chamber, and 15, it's rectangular 50 by 80 feet. Okay. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So let's do this. There's our 50-foot room, and then we go. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Whoop. And knock the camera over. It's one of the downsides of being left-handed trying to reach around the camera here. So I'm just going to just set that up like that for now and just finish this off. Alright, so there we go. So I think I'm actually going to end it there. The only other thing I'm going to do is the chance for a secret door. So I'm actually going to... I know it says only a 10% chance, but hey, I actually rolled a 1 on the d20 to see if it was. So this I'm actually going to make a secret door. I'm just going to put a chamber beyond it. So for secret doors, So like I said, this is sort of the symbol for just like regular doors. If you want a secret door, then I just do an S where the secret door would be, and I'm going to roll one last chamber. And hopefully it'll fit in that spot. So 4 on the chamber chart. So it's a 30 by 30 foot square room, so that fits perfectly. So we're just going to go up 1, we're going to go down 1, we're going to go 10, 20, 30, 10, 20, 30, and down. So there you go. There we have a randomized dungeon layout. So we don't have any features or anything in there as of yet, but I thought this would just sort of make for sort of a cool little idea. I could have gone on further. Like I said, I could have done see if there are passages coming out of that large room, which I rolled a 20 for that, so there would have been a ton of them. But I don't really want to go too much further because, I mean, at this point, I think everyone sort of gets the ideas. The last thing I just want to do is just kind of mark off some of the space that's not an actual part of the dungeon. Just so you kind of know at a glance that there's not a room beyond there. But there we go. So there is our randomized dungeon. So that's the actual layout. So I think what I'll do for part 2 of the video is use, because I'm pretty sure there are charts for actually dressing the dungeon and determining what the rooms are. So that was just all trying to come up with the actual layout of the dungeon. But we've got all kinds of different things here. So if you want to make it a stronghold, a temple or a shrine, a tomb, a treasure vault, or just general dungeon chambers, then you've got that. And then we have our dungeon dressings, which is great. You've got noises, air, odors, general features, general furnishings and appointments, religious articles and furnishings, mage furnishings, utensils and personal items, chamber contents, book scrolls and tomes, and so you got all that stuff there. So I think what I'm going to do is determine what I want this dungeon type to be. I don't know if there's actually a random thing to determine what kind of dungeon you have. It just says docking a dungeon, general dungeon purpose, or chamber purpose. So I'm going to go through. I didn't read this section yet, so I'll save that, like I said, for a separate video. And like I said, I just want to figure out what kind of dungeon I want this to be, and then I will come up with essentially rooms, and I'll fill them out for what makes sense for the dungeon itself, and we'll do that in the next video. So, like I said, I just wanted to use the randomized dungeon chart, just because I thought it would be kind of neat to make something that I've never really actually done before. I've never made a randomized dungeon. So this is actually kind of cool. I like that. I mean, hard to believe that this is the actual entrance. So I'll have to find a way to get people into the dungeon itself. But there you go. That is our random dungeon. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you had a little bit of fun with it, because I certainly had fun making it. And be sure to come back for part 2 when I determine what kind of dungeon I want this to be and what's going to be in each of these rooms. So thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you next time.